Now that voice is gone again, it is There Will Be Bourbon, round 2 with Drew Mullins. What's going on, sir?
Rabbit hole is going on.
He's going down the rabbit hole tonight. All right. Glad you said that. So I
clean shaven.
And he's clean shaven. Unbelievable. So if you're not watching this on the YouTube version, you should be, and you should be subscribing and sharing and reviewing and doing all those things. But if you're not watching on YouTube, Drew is no longer looking like he's homeless. So
yeah.
Oh boy. All right. So he's got the rabbit hole tonight. I have finally secured, thanks to my buddy in Indiana, where apparently it's the only place they put this stuff out at, but Benchmark foolproof, right? No, Benchmark, really bottom shelf stuff, right? But what people don't realize is, well, I hope they don't after this, but so Buffalo Trace makes this, right?
Of course.
I can get the regular Benchmark 8 for like $9 anywhere I go in California, but for whatever reason, the rest of the line of Benchmark, which I didn't even know existed a few months ago, until I found it online. Actually, no, I was in New Orleans over block leave and holiday leave and Christmas, and I noticed there was a Benchmark. I think it was a bottled and bond or something. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And sure enough, it was. And then I went and started researching things, and sure enough, there's an entire Benchmark line and foolproof. As you know, if you've watched this enough, anything barrel proof is my jam. I kind of try and do as much bottled and bond, which is 100 proof by law and above, because that's where I find all the flavor to be. So this is 125 proof. It's non-age stated. I can tell it's pretty young just based on the mouthfeel and all, and how it does taste, but it is pretty damn good. And this, like I said, the regular Benchmark was like $9 everywhere. My buddy sent me to this. It had the price tag still on it. $19.98, kids. There you go. And I'll follow that up with my personal favorite, of course, also from Buffalo Trace, little Stag Junior Batch 15. Retails for like 45, but not anymore. So good luck finding it. But anyway, let's get down that rabbit hole. How is it?
Let's do it. Well, I haven't opened it yet, but I've drank it a lot. So
is that the one that's finished in the sherry? Is it
sherry? This is the.
I think I tried it about 1.5 years ago. I think my dad had a
PX sherry cask. They've got a really slick presentation of the relationship between the vineyard and Spain, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's Portugal.
Is that where they're getting all the cask from?
Yeah, where they're getting it. Mm-hmm. And they've got their own coopers there that build their casks, and so then they.
I'd like to do that. I want to learn how to build a barrel. I want to just do that. That should be like an experience when you go to one of these distilleries. Like, hey, come build your own barrel.
Exactly.
Matter of time. But anyway, all right. So we're gonna try and pick up with some stuff that we forgot to get to, namely. Let's tell the young the young bourbon drinkers at home, what was it that you got to do, or what was it that you did this past Memorial Day?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a week ago.
Yeah.
I took the kids to school every day. No, we went up to, we kind of did the usual family. It was pretty quiet until Sunday. I just said, actually Saturday. Friday night, we went to a local, the Fredericksburg Nationals. It's the low A ball club for the Washington Nationals. So we went to that.
Pretty dope.
Fireworks, and they won. So like their first win in like 20 games or something like that.
Oh, nice. So they're
third
really
win.
good.
Yeah, they're really good. But the kids loved it. Had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, minor league baseball, there's not much better than that. They don't have to be good. You're just there to hang out and get $5 beers instead of 20.
Yeah. What's awesome is you're seeing the kids, seeing the young guys. It's like their second stop after GCL or whatever. And then Saturday was kind of low-key stuff. And Sunday, I just said, hey, what do you think about going up to Arlington National Cemetery? And my wife, of course, was all into it. And we drove up. And on the way up, I was tweeting out, hey, anybody got any friends who want me to take a picture of?
Yeah.
Anything going on? I'll be happy to do it. And of course, there was this other guy who's more important than me who was there earlier in the day, gave a speech. And he backed up traffic for like 2 hours. Anyway, when we got there, it was pretty hellish. But they told everybody, hey, you have to be out by 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, except that's just when they closed. but we stayed longer. Everybody that was in there knew who was in there. They were hanging out with their bros.
Yeah.
It was really kind of a cool experience. And I ran around trying the best I could to satisfy folks' requests for their friends, tweet them out, and introduce my kids to the place and some friends of mine that are up there. And we had a good time.
So I've never physically been inside it. I ran by it when I did the Army 10 miler back in 2012, and it's a pretty moving experience. Even just running past it, I can only imagine what it's like to walk through there and just see all those names and all the different campaigns and just yes, it's the ultimate sacrifice, but it's what's been just the I can't even put it in the words. It's just the chapters of American history as you walk through that. I think that'd be pretty damn cool.
It is. I mean, especially if you're really into it, you can see the evolution of Civil War era, all the conflicts since then. But as most people know who are familiar with it, Section 60 is the section where OEF, OIF folks are pretty much interned. And of course, every time I go there, it's changed because as folks pass on, they get a spot.
Right.
And just it was the same way this time. I got there and I was like, where am I? I can't find Extortion 17, which is usually my first place I go, and then from there I get my bearings.
So did you cover that last time? What Extortion 17 is?
I don't know if we got there because it wasn't. I wasn't
okay.
involved.
Even if we didn't, so what is Extortion 17 for those checking it out?
Yeah. So after the OBL raid in Asadabad, in
Osama bin Laden, for those. I try to clarify as many of these acronyms as I can.
Okay. After they got him, shortly there, or a few months later, I guess 6 months or so, I'm trying to remember exactly, was it a year? There was another raid, and eventually some Rangers, I guess, were kind of caught on the target, and they get called in for a QRF. And I think it was a
quick reaction force.
Quick reaction force, that's right. And it just happened to be a couple of troops or so from Gold Squadron were there. And they, for some reason, they got on a bird, a National Guard bird. It wasn't one of the SOAR birds, the 160 birds, so the 47. And some good pilots, a lot of experience and everything. But anyways, they went flying in to help out these guys, and they got shot down. So with an RPG, and there's a lot of controversy over it. Of course, it's a real sensitive subject because of just all the things that were just not normal. I mean, it was the perfect kind of like, why did all these things happen? Why did they use this bird? Why did they use these pilots?
Right.
Why did, et cetera. And at the last minute, there's different stories about how the Afghan commandos that were on there swapped out with some different guys, and so it was like, did the theories, one of the theories flying around is, where they tipped off, where the guys tipped off, so because, typically, unless you're at real high altitude, an RPG is not going to take down at 47. I mean, it can hurt it, but they're pretty tough, and you have to get the close your eyes swing is luckiest shot in the world, right? To do what it did. But so, anyway, I go there and I went to the funeral for those guys. At the time, there was like 13 guys they put in the ground at the same time. So it was a pretty moving experience. So I remember that, and some were people I knew. So and then from there they've got the individual stones, but they have one stone that says Extortion 17. Yeah.
And they're all in that section.
They're in that same line. Yeah. And since then, there's been other folks that have made the sacrifice for our freedom to drink bourbon
and I will definitely be doing that. Oh, I meant to say, I forgot to point this out. I've worn it on the show before. Probably, I think the first episode I ever did, coming up on a year. Have you heard of this Steamboat Whiskey Company in Colorado?
I have not.
Started by a Navy SEAL, Nathan Newhall. I don't know if you ever heard that name or came across
West Coast guy. No.
Anyway, Nathan Newhall and his wife. Yes, after he retired, he started this. But I've not been to this distillery. But Maddie, she went last year. and brought me back one of their bottles. I'm trying to remember which one it was. It was like Navy something. It was an American whiskey. It wasn't a bourbon, but it was actually pretty damn good. And they finished it in something. I think they finished it in a rum cask. Yeah, I think it was a rum cask, but it was really good. And yeah, I wanted to go out to it. And then this weird, I don't know if you heard of it. Did you ever hear about coronavirus and COVID? Did you hear about any of that shit?
Heard a conspiracy.
Weird shit that was going on last year. So anyway, it ruined my plan to go out and visit it, but it's there.
The COVID?
I don't know if the COVID's there, but yeah, the distillery's there.
That's that Wuhan virus, right?
Allegedly from the Wuhan lab, China. Yeah. All right. So you knocked that out. What else? What else did you want to?
I want to say something about the American whiskey. So I've tried a couple of them. And I'm trying to remember the name of the one that has that pewter kind of shot snifter. Let's see. I wonder what I have over there. On top of the bottle, Nathan's or something. It's from Colorado.
That's a hot dog.
Yeah, that's a hot dog. But I've had mixed experiences. Like the one I like a lot it's called. I think it's called Wyoming. The Wyoming.
Oh, I got that. Yeah. The Wyoming.
Yeah.
88.
I like that one.
Yeah. That stuff's really good.
It is good. It's good. The other one, it's a little young or harsh or something like that. The one from Colorado, the one I've tried. So it's an American whiskey.
Oh, are you talking about Strahan?
Strahan. Yep. Yeah.
See, that's another one. They have that, the one that kind of their entry level. That's anywhere. You can find that in every state. But apparently there are some other expressions that I just haven't been able to find. Like there's supposedly a wheat, and I think there's a barrel proof. I think I've read as well. Because those are the ones I always want to try. Like I know it sounds dumb, but I don't like anything that meets like the bare minimum of just 80 proof, right? 80 proof by law, okay, is what it needs to be. But for whatever reason, and I can do that stuff with mixed drinks, but I don't like drinking something like that.
I just don't see the point of going through the effort of labeling, marketing, all the show, and then have kind of a product that, to be quite frank, you try it, you give it 2 chances maybe, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're just like, I don't think so. When I can have something else, like the Wyoming stuff I love. I mean, anytime I can get that, I buy it all, just because.
Yeah, it's a good unique one. There's one that is it back here still?
Take these off. Can't see you, but.
Yeah, I'm here somewhere. Can't remember which one it is. I don't know. Ones that I can't really do. I mean, I love wheated bourbon, but I don't buy Maker's Mark. I don't really care for it. I've got some of their single barrel expressions, like the ones that are the stave finished varieties. But yeah, like for some reason, I mean, the distillery was great. Went there a couple times on the tour. The tour is fun, but it just for whatever reason, it never tastes anything special.
Do you have you tried the 46 Maker's 46?
I have. Yep.
I like that one. Of course, that goes back to my kind of, spicy, peaty.
I've got 2 of them back there that are, one's called Sugar Cookie. It was like one of their finishing programs that was at Total Wine up here. And another one that was sent to me by someone. And I don't know, they're okay, but it doesn't justify the $80 price tag on them. That's my problem is once you start getting me up to $50 to $60, I expect something memorable and stuff that I can, like, if I don't move on to something else, I can drink the whole thing in like a week. You know what I mean? Because that's how much I like it. But if something's going to cost that much, I have high expectations, and Maker's Mark just doesn't seem to meet them. Now, for whatever reason, and I get it. So when you taste something, atmosphere matters. Weather matters, everywhere, wherever you're at, whatever the environment is for you, that stuff does matter in my opinion. Like there's times where I've drank the same exact bottle, same exact product, and it tastes a million times better if, I'm in a hot tub or I'm around a fire grilling or I'm at my brother's place with him. Like the environment matters in terms of flavor and how stuff tastes to me. And I've noticed that with wine as well. But yeah, like when I was at the distillery, everything at Maker's Mark tasted great. And then when I get it back, I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe it's because of the distillery and I get excited because I'm there, but
yeah, it's part of the experience, I think.
Yeah. Because Jim Beam's the same way. I used to not like Jim Beam at all. And I still don't really care for the entry level one, like the one that's just the white label. Like I have it. I use it to mix stuff with, and I love their little cherry stuff. I always post pictures of when I'm at the pool, because the cherry stag, whatever it's called, cherry Jim Beam and Diet Pepsi. That's the drink for hot boy summer if you're into it. But all their Knob Creek is actually really damn good.
Old Granddad. I think I said last time was, I like Old Granddad, and I have the 12, the Knob Creek 12. Yeah, it's good too. I wanted to mention before, when you were talking about fashion, I've got one of Sapper's shirts. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. Just wanted to shout out to Sapper Spy on Twitter.
Making his shirt.
Making shirts. Yeah, I got them all today, all the goon shirts.
I did buy I bought the tumbler with all that, the big collage on it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like 90% of the people listening are going to have no idea what the hell that is.
Yeah.
It's a very small portion that knows what we are on Twitter. But yeah, so if you don't have Twitter, you should follow Drew at Real Blue Falcon. So I meant to ask you that. How'd you come up with that? Because I mean, I know what the term Blue Falcon means, but I was just curious why you were like, this is gonna be mine.
I had it was funny. You know how Blue Falcon is just an inside baseball military thing. It's a meme within, before memes. And it, it's like, so one of our, your patches, you throw on ship posting patches or whatever.
Morale patch. That
morale patch
usually sets people off on mil Twitter. So
right. Oh my God. Well, actually, I don't want to admit too much here, but there was a reason why I created that account. And I thought, you know what? I'd gone on a deployment to Afghanistan, and I was working with our counterparts over there. And I had that patch on, I think I had it on a sleeve one night. Or I was on my helmet or something like that. And the Afghan commandos were oh, they were talking, and I was asking the Turk, what are they talking about? And he goes, they love birds, they love hawks, they love eagles, and they were talking about it. And so I said, oh, cool, right? So it was just one of those morale things. They liked it. Yeah. And so then I said, you know how you can get anything made by their
exactly.
So our guys are
patches I had were over there.
So I said, I took them one, and they made, it's funny you should say it because it's sitting here up on the counter. They made this one. Okay.
Okay. That's kind of what you're.
Yeah. So this is what all the commandos wore. So they all had one, right? And we had
FTB, Fear the Blue Falcon.
That would be the nice thing. Oh,
I get it.
Okay.
TB. Yeah, I got it.
The biatches or the Taliban. That's what I told him it was. So that was the official.
There you go. That works. That passes muster.
F the Taliban. Right? Yeah. And so that was it. And when I came back, it was just like one of those things. And I was looking at my kit one day, and I had to create a new account. I was trying to separate my school personality from, goon Twitter.
Yeah.
Just because I was following. Yeah, I was following some, some academics and some, respectable people, and I didn't want to, murder their timeline with.
Whoa! You're trying to say I'm not respectable, Drew? Is that what I got it?
Dude, I never see you in my timeline, bro. Anyway, so I created this, and I thought, what would be something that would just trigger the hell out of people, right? They would just, not know if this is a joke or not, because and I thought I'm going to do a meme thing, the real blue falcon, but it's like really it's the opposite of that. It's like, if you know what a blue falcon is, it's the opposite,
right?
I mean, really, it's like
I don't think you'll come. I don't think you're the blue falcon type.
No. I mean, it's just, but it's like it's fun,
And so speaking of funny, so you bring up blue falcon. So once upon a time, when I was in drill sergeant school, we had 6 squads, right, for each. Or for the whole, whatever, the class, right? And so the way it was structured is just the way they were doing these temporary barracks for us. So we had 1st and 2nd squad, and it was all alphabetical. So it was 1st and 2nd squad. We all lived together in one little trailer type temporary barracks thing. And then squads 3 through 7 all lived in the bigger one away from us. And they hated us because we and this is what's weird about it, is it was all alphabetical. And for whatever reason, our squads, 1st and 2nd, we all just came together and just clicked. And 4 of the guys just happened to be Rangers at some point together. or 2 of them were together, but 4 were Rangers. So, you get the instant Ranger bond, but then they all happen to have names that fell between A and F. So we're all together and we all kind of have cool little bonds going. And it was just, it really just kind of, as maybe you've experienced with some schools, it just kind of devolved into like an us versus them mentality. So anytime we would have formation, this one guy, Rory Allen, if he's out there, great dude. He was a NYPD or no, NYFD guy, fire department guy from New York City on 9/11. He actually had pictures from 9/11, when they did their thing. Really cool picture that we had for our graduation day. And I actually ran into him randomly in Afghanistan in 2013. So I've ran into so many people randomly from my life in foreign wars for some reason. But anyway, so we used to, fuck it. We'll say it. So at one time, it was like weeks 4 through 5 because drill sergeant school was 8 or 9 weeks. We all decided to go.
3 weeks of training crammed into 8. Yeah, typical Army
school. It was so I kind of liked the way they did it. So the way they structured it was like you did basic training basically again. Like week 1 was and 2, those were your red phase, right? And you did everything in conjunction with how privates in basic training would. So whatever major training event they do during red phase, you were doing the same thing, which was confidence tie, right? You go and learn how to rappel and do all that crap. So it was basic training all over again, except this time, it's a school, it's a joke. So, you have drill sergeant leaders acting like it's basic training again. And we're all just like, okay, yep, Roger. Oh, push-ups. No.
This is how you keep a straight face.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm getting stronger from doing push-ups. This sucks. Yeah. No, but it was fun. I loved it. I had a blast. Drill sergeant school was literally some of the best 8 weeks of my life. I still need to write the series about it. I talked to Eddie, our buddy Eddie. Mm-hmm. I just haven't figured out how to write it yet. It's in my head. It's been in my head for the last, 10 years. But anyway, so one of the things we did, we all grew mustaches during this period. And we would all have, anytime we had a formation, we'd go out and of course, the senior drill sergeant would start walking out of his little shack and get ready to call us all to attention. We would call ourselves to attention first, and then we would do a little right step and left step, depending which one we were. We would come together and we would sound off with mustache rides, 4 for $1. Never went over well. Never went over well. But we were so far into it. We were halfway through, so it was pretty much any military school, as long as you don't do anything legal, morally, or unethical, which that was not. You're probably gonna make it. And then so the other thing, going back to the Blue Falcon thing. So Alan, that was the guy. He had this little blue bird finger puppet. And so anytime we would be in formation, if
was it named your mom?
Yeah. Anytime we would be in formation and something fucking dumb happened or somebody was doing something stupid, he would throw the Blue Falcon out in front of the formation, and it would just,
Oh yeah. Oh, he had an actual little.
Yeah, it was like a finger puppet. Okay. Yeah, he would just pull it out of his pocket because he's a big dude.
Belichick and the challenge flag or something.
Yeah, exactly. He was a big boy, so he'd always be in the back because he could. He was like 6'3", 6'4". He's a big dude, so he would just chuck that thing out, and we'd be like. Yeah, just our school was a blast. Man, that was a good time. Great time. Got into a lot of trouble there. In a good way. Good trouble. Not like, Yeah. We definitely, our classes, and we got in so much trouble between the two of our squads that's why literally every other squad just hated us. They hated every time we showed up because they knew we were going to cause some trouble.
And what kind of payment, what kind of penalty did you pay for that? When you got in trouble, it's like, just whenever you got in trouble, what
it was always, my favorite one, I can't remember if it was that or if it was something, it was very early on. And it was another thing, this was weird. So one of our drill sergeant leaders actually ran into his picture in Kuwait on my last deployment at one point in 2015. I could never catch him in his office, but he was the EO. So if you're out there and you randomly listen to this and you were the EO for Arsent in Camp Arifjan in 2015, what's up? I don't want to say his name because he might get in trouble. Anyway, but no, it was like week 2 or 3, maybe we did something stupid. And the senior drill sergeant leader came out, and the commandant, which was like this former Marine dude, and he was funny as shit. He was like a Marine diver before he joined the Army. Old crusty dude, hilarious. But he came out, and I don't know what it was that we did, but the punishment was take every sandbag from around the fortified position in front of the little HQ move it across our drill pad, which was probably, I don't know, 150, 200 feet wide, to our fortified position, dump them out, fill them back up, and then carry them back. So it was carry a sandbag, dump it, dump all of them, fill them all back up, and then put them all back over there. And so that took us like 2-3 hours, but it was funny as hell because it's like anything, it's shared suffering, right? So you just make the best of it. But our drill sergeant leader, like, I remember he came out and I thought he was going to yell at us and do something stupid, but he just took his top off and just started doing it with us. So we're like, all right. So that was pretty cool. So an instant little bond there. And so it ended up turning into, our squad became the House of Pain, is what they called. So anytime we showed up, one of our other drill sergeant leaders would just throw on a little House of Pain, a little jump around, something stupid. But yeah, it's a good time.
You loved it.
I did. I loved every minute of it. I enjoy getting into trouble and military settings because usually it's physical punishment. So that's fine. I get to get stronger.
Yeah, the BUDS pipeline is different now. They got the guys doing their own, but back for the longest time, we graduate BUDS and then you head straight to Benning for Airborne School.
Airborne, yeah.
Yeah, and then head to your command, right? Usually that's how it worked, unless you had some school en route, but that was rare. And so when I went to Benning, it was like 89. And I was PCSing, of course. That means I don't have the same thing in the Army.
Permanent change of station for those of you. He's moving.
And I had a 74 something Volkswagen van with windows.
Creeper van.
Yeah, it was a nice one. It was a
Scooby-Doo
West Coast van. Yep.
That's right. You're from California, so it made sense.
Yeah. So I'm from the deep south, Southern California, and drove across country and got to Benning and checked in, and Delta Company. I remember it. So that was like, you got guys who just got out of BUDS, right? Who by the end of BUDS, the instructors are trying to wear you out and you're wearing them out, right? Like that. We're going to do 1,000 flutter kicks. Ready? Begin. And we would do 1,000 flutter kicks, right? Like without, he'd stop 6 inches off the ground. We keep going. We get to Benning, and of course, you know how that is. That's a pinnacle school for a lot of Army guys, especially if you're, if it's a good deal kind of thing for you, if you've been in a while and, you're a first sergeant or whatever it is.
So you went in 89, you said?
Yeah.
I went in 2010.
Okay. That's a little bit of a time difference, I think. But it was, I remember the company, or not company, what would he be? Who's in charge of,
the Black Hats?
The Black Hat. Who'd be his boss, of all the companies?
Battalion commander?
Yeah, battalion commander.
Yeah,
pulls all the SEALs in. He goes, okay, guys.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I know that you're fit and this is not gonna be hard for you, but just play along, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
just don't cause any trouble, just whatever. And so you got the big 500 or 400 or 300 or whatever, is all these people, you're doing the PT, and then you do your little jog. And it's meant to kind of filter out the guys that can't keep up. So as guys fall out of formation, we're like grabbing them and putting them back in formation. We're like, come on, man, you can do it. You can do it. Keep going. And the Black Hats are coming back to us going, leave that guy alone, because they're trying to filter those guys out. They want to get it down to.
See, I remember. So I was curious that you say that, because I was just wondering if they ever told you this part. So what was explained to me, because I was in E6 when I went through, and I was already at Fort Benning, right? So I just went on a walk-on slot because I had a cycle break and went and did it. But no, I remember I asked, because it's like you do that little fucking slow ass shuffle to the harness shit every morning, right? When you go to do for jump week. And I was like, why do we do this shit so slow? And I remember one of the Black Hats finally, after we graduated, was like, man, we do that just to make sure no one's hurt. Because if you're hurt, you can't do that. You won't be able to, you'll physically fall out because you're hurt. They're not doing it to do a lot of like punishment. Right. It's more like, hey, we're going to run down there and we're going to see who can actually jump that day. Because if you can't do it in formation, if you can't make that little slow ass, 10-minute run, it seems
Shuffle.
Like. Yeah, then you're not jumping that day. So, right. No, I was good. I mean, I'm sure things changed over 20 years,
They did,
back then when you did it.
Well, we get the sawdust pits or whatever they're called, the pavilions, where you're underneath there. And
so it's all shredded rubber tires now for us.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. And, they'd punish us,
Yeah.
We're going to push.
We had a guy who used to he'd get on the bullhorn and be like, roll, when you were doing roll left, roll right over. He's like, roll over the week. I loved it. I stole a lot of stuff from drill sergeant school or from Airborne School when I went back. he would get on his bullhorn, and every time, instead of calling cadence during push-ups, it would be, I love the push-up. Yes, I do. I can do the push-up better than you. And so I took
Right.
that back. You know,
I
like
like it. Look, listen to
Airborne
that.
School was great, man. It was fun.
I thought it was
I had a
great. I was
blast.
going to say,
That was a blast.
my bus, my van, whatever, call it bus because that's what it was, VW bus, even though it was small, had a little bed in the back, of course, and everything I owned was inside there. And I'd go out, we'd all go out at night and stuff, and we'd go to some of those bars they tell you not to go to, and there'd be a bunch of black hats in there. And I'd walk up to the bartender, because I used to bartend, and I said, send that table 3 pitchers of beer. Okay. And we'd go, and then we'd go sit on the other side, right? But and then leave each other alone. It was fine. But it's it's a typical, like you said, you got to do that filtering process before you actually do the week.
It was the first time I noticed, like I said, I was an E6 when I went, so it wasn't like I was a private, but it was also the first time I was in a joint setting, and not just that, but it's the first time you had officers as well.
Right.
Yeah, and the class size was so big. I remember we had like 340 people in our company. So I was just curious if it was always that way. Was it that big?
I don't know. I don't remember a lot of it. I mean, because I'd go out and party, and then I'd come back and crash in my van, because I know, I'd want to, like, at 3 or 4 in the morning, run down there and get in my rack. So I'd wait till I hear everybody coming out for muster or whatever you call it. And I'd go in and put my clothes on and come out. But yeah, it was pretty big. In fact, it was a weird thing, because I don't know if you remember this, but there was this, okay, I know I was going to say about that. I got 3 or 4 stories that relate to jump school, but one of them was, because I was it would have been an E4 petty officer 3rd class, right? So that's got the eagle with the 1 chevron.
Okay.
I don't think I got promoted until I got to the teams, E5. Yeah. So how you have the regular companies, and then you run up the hill a little bit, and there's the officer, kind of that circular compound where all the officers stayed, and then they have the officer mess. I forgot what it's called. And so I went up there, and because our covers were different, and we had this little eagle on there, they thought I was an officer, right? So I ate every morning in officers for breakfast. I would go have the order, right, instead of whatever they were serving down to the other place, and come back. And as I was coming back one morning after eating there was all this police tape all around the parking lot, right? This is one of those NSFW stories.
Not safe for work, kids.
Yes, right. So if you're on a work computer,
put your buds in.
Your kids are around, whatever.
Put them outside where they belong.
Right. I look at it, and there's this motorcycle, and there's this body laying next to this motorcycle, and it's covered up, and the police are there. And this happened, like, I just jogged up there and ate. And this wasn't there, and I come back, and
this is recent.
It's like, just happened, right? And evidently, it was like some black hat was messing around with some other guy, some private's wife, and he just showed up. He was waiting for me. The guy drove to work on a motorcycle.
Story as old as time in the military.
Yeah, he showed up on his motorcycle, and this guy just put a 22 in his face while in his motorcycle helmet, and took care of him. So I was like, whoa, okay, don't do that, right?
Always a good advice. Do not.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had a good time. I mean, there was this one sergeant. I'm not making this up. He was like what would be an E7
for the Army?
Yeah.
Sergeant first class.
Okay. Sergeant first class splat. SPL.
Probably not where you want to be in airborne school.
Okay. And this was like, he was like an admin guy, right? And he was like, hey, we're going to get you airborne wings. So he goes, and I remember we did you do your jumps. Is it the 5th jump you put your cover on? Is that what it is? You put your airborne thing on? Like people pull out of their cargo pocket or whatever it was, or.
Well, we did. I don't know, because we didn't do that.
Okay. So anyways, I think it was like the 2nd jump, and it had been raining, and he landed in the deep mud and broke both of his ankles.
Oh, I thought that just made it nice and soft. I don't know how he broke his ankles.
I
enjoyed it.
Sergeant Splat broke his ankles.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's awful, because it's like you don't graduate, right?
Yeah, that's also awful.
Yeah. But I remember that when we did our 5th jump, we pulled all us enlisted guys have those white, dog bowl Navy covers. Right?
Yeah.
So we pulled those out of our cargo pocket and put them on, then pulled one side down like it was a beret, as we're rolling up our chutes, running back to
nice,
to check in and everything. But so we're leaving, getting ready to leave Benning, and everybody's going. It was like spring break time, and everybody went down to you go through Dothan to Pensacola, I guess, Pensacola Beach.
Oh, Pensacola Beach, yeah, in Florida.
Yeah, whatever that road is, it goes south through Dothan, Alabama. You know what I'm talking about? Okay,
not really.
So
I know Pensacola, but yeah, I never really ran through Alabama.
So we take out for the weekend, and everybody say, hey, we're going to meet down at wherever, this beach. And I'm driving, and I start to smell smoke or something burning, right? And I look, Volkswagen vans have the engine in the back. They're air cooled, right?
Yeah.
So I look back, and I'm like, holy crap, got smoke coming out of my van, right? So I pull over, I open up the back engine compartment, and it's on fire. The week before, I had just had it tuned up by a mechanic in there, and he had tightened he had done the injectors and spark plugs and everything, but he failed to tighten up a couple of the fuel lines. So
could be a problem.
Yeah. So fuel was spraying all over the place, and one of the injectors came out or whatever, anyways, caused a fire. So it's on fire, and I'm like, crap, So I start throwing all my stuff out of the van on the side of the road, grab some water jugs, I'm putting it out and everything. And guys are driving by that I see, and they're waving and honking. I'm like, hey,
dicks,
come over, help me. And all my stuff's on the side of the road, and the engine just totally burned up, and never made it to Pensacola. But
what? You didn't call Uber?
No. I had to call my brother to call a tow truck to get it to Dothan.
So much harder back then.
Yeah,
Shit, no phones.
Yeah. So I had to go to like this, a Volkswagen engine. I don't want to get too boring for people, but they're 4-cylinder flat air-cooled engines. They used to be made the same way for 30, 40 years since Hitler invented it or whatever. So I had to get a replacement for it. And so I went to a junkyard, and I bought 2 912 Porsche engines, which are the same engine, as a Volkswagen. The 912 was the poor man's 911. It had a 4-cylinder, instead of a 6-cylinder. And I went back to the guy who did the work, and I said, look, motherfucker, excuse my language.
Nope, we will not.
It's your fault that my engine burned up. And so he let me use his shop, and I had to tear these 2 motors down and like build one myself and put it back in my van.
You knew how to do that?
Yeah, I used to be a freaking motor.
Yeah, people don't know how to do that shit today. I don't.
Well, it was simple back then. I mean, is it like either carbureted
that's what
or
my dad always said.
Yeah, I mean,
my dad
would no computers involved.
You
could see everything. Yeah,
but doesn't know how to use a fucking cell phone.
Yeah, I can't log into Zoom, but I know how to tear apart an engine. And then I drove to Virginia Beach, and like literally every 50 miles I had to stop, or 100 miles, and put a quart and a half of oil in the thing, using so much oil. But I made it. And then the end of that, later on, a couple of years later, I was doing, we were up at Fort AP Hill, doing demo training. And I came back one weekend, me and my roommate, which is this guy named Rick Asherman. That name sounds familiar? Asherman. So Rick was, later on, he had done what was the operation to get Noriega? You should know this. This is like famous in your world. Panama.
Yeah, the Panama thing.
Yeah,
I know this.
So he did that.
I'm gonna find it for those. Keep going. I got this.
Urgent Fury, maybe. I don't know.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah. So he did his squad, or his platoon from Team 4 was one of the 2 platoons that did the Patia airfield seizure, where the general or whoever was in charge moved the H-hour timeline up 15 minutes and just screwed everything up.
Grenada? Is that the one?
No, not Grenada.
Well, that was Urgent Fury.
Okay.
For Grenada.
Yeah. We'll get corrected here.
So we're gonna get this.
I plead ignorance.
Operation.
So Rick's platoon, he got wounded. He was a 60 gunner.
Is this the guy that got shot in the ass?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said that. Good deal.
Yeah. So I said that. So anyways, we're driving around one Saturday, and I'm thinking about I had to go back Monday to AP Hill because we're going to do demo the next week. And
Operation Just Cause.
Just Cause. Jesus, I should know that, right? I apologize to all you guys.
I always like that name.
Sounded like a fraud.
It's got 2 meanings, right? It's got like, this is a just cause, but then it's also like, we're doing this Just cause. Why not?
Well, if anybody knows that story, right, of Operation Just Cause, some guys I played rugby with, if you read that story, there was some Navy pilots who were down there who got stopped by the Panamanians like the week before or whatever, and harassed and beat up and like basically kind of held against their will for a while, and then another one got killed or something like that. Not in the same time, but it was like the tipping point for George H.W. Bush to say, "That's it." Right?
Yeah.
Well, though I played rugby with those guys.
Oh shit.
So a couple of them were like, hey, "This is the guy who started the freaking war in Panama," that kind of thing. I won't mention their names, but
it's quite an honor.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Rick comes back. I mean, we're hammered. We're driving around Virginia Beach, and we come to one of these intersections that they're doing a bunch of work, and they had the construction pylon things, with the flashing yellow light, the little
Bob's barricades.
Yeah. And I'm like, there was like a yellow or a green light left turn arrow, but there was a bunch of those things in the way in the middle of the street, and I'm gunning it to try to make the light, and the light turns yellow, then it gets ready to turn red, and Rick goes, "You don't have a hair on your ass, man." And it's like, "Oh yeah, what's this?" And I went blazing through that intersection, and we ran into all those barricades, and it fucked up my van pretty bad, right?
Yeah, I did that with the Tesla. It wasn't mine.
You did it with the Tesla? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
But it wasn't mine.
But I wanted to see, like, was it like the movies where you just drive through this stuff? Well, it's not like the movies, okay?
No, actually,
it does damage to your car, right?
They're filled with water, usually.
It's like hitting a deer or something.
Yeah,
right?
smart.
Well, these were the ones that just like folded out. Okay.
Oh yeah, I would have.
And then they had some cones and stuff. And so, but then we took it up to AP Hill, and I blew it up. We blew it up with, I forgot what we put in there, but it was like there was literally nothing left of it after we destroyed it. But that was fun. It served its purpose. I'd already bought a Jeep, and so it was good. But so that was, I don't want to tell a bunch of those dumb stories, but
that's a good one.
Of them. Yeah.
That's a good one. So I just remember the last thing from Airborne before we move on from that. It was a joint thing, right? I remember we had my squad was pretty cool. I had this E5 MP dude next to me who was our team leader. And I was like, great, because this dude was super smart and paid attention to everything, and I was just there having fun. So he would literally fix my, when you go to put your little the chute thingy on, like you had to have that little seat looking thingy or whatever. I'm trying to remember what the hell it's called. Anyway, he would always fix that
slider.
It's like you do something before you put on. It goes over the chute. I thought. I don't know.
Oh, it's in a bag.
I'm trying to fucking remember what the hell it was. Anyway, he would fix it for me every time because I was just like, I wasn't paying attention when the black hat gave the class, whatever. I wasn't listening to the module, but he would always fix it for me. And he would go and do JPI for everybody or whatever the hell it's called.
We don't jump in T10s or something.
We had T10s. Yes.
Okay.
I never got to do the T11. So supposedly, so my first sergeant went 3 classes after me, and they got to do one jump with the T11, but we were all doing T10 deltas, I think it was. Yeah.
I have 9 static line jumps, 5 from Benning, 4 water jumps, and then it's at Virginia Beach, and then we went to Antigua. Our advanced training cell said, look, hey, they're going to make us all go to the joint free fall school from now on. So this is the last chance we could do our own course. So they took our SEAL tactical training class, which is, SQC now, out, and we got a 141. We went down to Antigua for a month and just jumped our ass off down there and all got qualified. But after that, it was all I was free fall after that.
Yeah, I've definitely never done that shit, but real quick.
Yeah.
So,
yes, sir. Sorry.
So the point, no, it's fine. This is good because I want to come back to that. So it was a joint class, right? So I had that dude, his MP dude. The guy next to me was another E5, but he was like this Marine recon dude, and he was just super chill and never said anything. And then we had 2 guys in the Coast Guard, both E5s, and they were both just absolute dicks. Like, it's like they felt like the need to kind of prove that the Coast Guard was, because I don't even know what they did. I don't know why the Coast Guard had 2 guys in Airborne School, but for whatever, good for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they were absolute dicks the entire fucking time, just always trying to be in charge of everything. And it, you know, it's a joint school. Most of the people outranked him anyway. But no, you know what? I do want to go back to this because it always comes up and it always still to this day pisses me off. But I remember in my class, in my little, not, yeah, I think it was in my freaking company or not company, but whatever. Anyway, it was a full bird colonel from the reserves. He was there. And I always used to look back at that guy and think to myself, you know what? Because like I said, I didn't go to airborne school until I was E6. I remember as an E1, I came as an E1. All I wanted to do was go to airborne school once I figured out what it was. Because I came in just because of 9/11. I didn't know shit about the Army. I was just like, yeah, I'll just go. Let's do it. Didn't know anything. And once I found out gradually what these schools were, I was like, man, I would love to have done that. But and then I was always told, oh, there's no money. There's no money. There's no money for training. And then when I was finally there, because I got to do that walk-on slot, I was so happy. And then I was just like, there's an 06. Definitely not living on base, right? Like definitely living in a fucking hotel for 3 weeks. And I'm like, how much money did it take to send that fucker? And how many privates could have came in his place and stayed in the barracks, right? You know what I mean? Like every day. And it wasn't no fault of his. He seemed like a pretty nice guy, but I just resented the fact that there was an 06 in our formation. I was just like, this is fucked up. Joe should be here and Jane, not fucking Colonel, whatever this fucking guy's name is, what the fuck purpose does an 06 have in airborne school? None. Not in the reserves either. Like he's a reserve. It wasn't like he was some whatever. All right. I'm still bitter about it 11 years later.
Tell me how do you really think? How do you really feel about it?
I feel like that is fucked up. And whoever signed off on it should have said, fuck no, sir, you had your chance. You had your entire career to go to airborne school. You're not doing it now. That's me. All right, my rant for the night is complete. I didn't do any of those last week, so this is good.
Didn't.
You got the first rant from my airborne rant. All right, so anyway, you're in Halo or whatever the hell they guys call it.
Yeah. School. So we go down there to Antigua, which is like the.
Is this the island?
The island, the West Indies.
Jesus,
right?
What the?
Like it's all resorts. Like there's a little.
Do you guys even work in the Navy SEALs? Like you guys literally are the fucking stereotype of every movie. It's just.
Well, it was just like back then you could just hey yeah fuck yeah that's hey boss what do you think?
So what year was this? Was this early 90s?
This would have been 90, I think.
90.
Let's see, it would have been after.
So it was before Desert Storm, sort of, kind of after all that Just Cause stuff.
Let's see. It had to be because I was in a platoon during Desert Storm. Yeah. So it might have been 89.
You told some harrowing tales.
It might have been all of MREs and landmines. Yeah. The most boring time of my life. But yeah, so it was all in conjunction. It was all kind of in sequence. You get to the team and they put you in STT and the next year you're doing training and then you go to a board and you either get your trident or you don't. If you don't, you're a shitbag. But it's more perfunctory.
So the trident is like the
it's the
combat patch for SEALs, basically.
It's the bird, the warfare insignia.
Okay, got it.
So we're down in Antigua, and it's pretty much worth these old salty dudes. Well, they weren't old, but they were real experienced jumpers and a lot of damn neck guys at the time and whatnot. And so essentially you just, okay, here's how you do it. Here's how you put on your rig. All right, and the ramp's gonna open. And we practiced box man, on like little creepers, the little 4-wheel things like a mechanic uses where you lay down and you do the box man. Put your chest out, and you practice that about 10 times. Then you pack your chute like 20 times, learn how to pack it, your MC1 Bravo or whatever it was back then. So
you had to pack your own chutes?
Yeah, you learn how to pack your own because it's free fall. I mean, that's the whole point. You learn, you pack your own chute. Now the reserve's packed by a rigger. Okay. But if you ever have to use your reserve, of course, you have to buy it.
Yeah, you're gonna die anyway.
Or a bottle of something. So you do that, and it's like, okay, we're going up, and we go to like 12.5, and then it's like the door opens, and you just jump out, right? And you're like, and then you have 2 guys that chase you out. One will kind of go out before you, and the other guy will come out chasing you. And you want to
make sure you guys get off, or
well, no, it's like and they follow you all the way down, and you're supposed to like be in this like position to where you get stable. You've seen movies and
I have seen a lot of them.
And then guys come up and they're telling you what to do. Like they'll say left, and you got to turn left, right, and back, and do all this stuff.
So that shit works.
that's how it works. You just kind of like learn. And then you're the whole time you're looking at your altimeter, you know, because you got this thing on your back that's going to fire if you don't pull at the right time, but then you wave off and look, grab, pull. And, you know, everybody's first jump is something they never forget. And mine was like, just like, I remember just being ass over tea kettle and all the way down, and got to a point where I was kind of stable. There's nobody around, and I looked, and it was time to pull, and I pulled. And we landed, and the guys landed next to me. And they're like, yeah, man, you were just freaking like a safe. I mean, the guys were like, we were standing on our heads, man, trying to catch you. Like, you know, like, you know, and you're gone, dude. It was like, hey, I hope he opens, you know, and that kind of thing. And you land, and then you get ready for the next lift. And so then they come in and say, oh, first jump, case of beer, right? So, oh, first good jump, case of beer, first night good. So by the end of it, we had like 50 cases of beer stacked up along the wall there. But it was a great time. You know, we were in this resort area, and I did like 30 jumps, you know.
There the whole time?
The whole time, yeah. And
you know, have a nice tan? Did everybody have a nice tan?
Yeah, we went out and got conch out of the water, and
that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was a good.
You were getting paid to do that shit.
Getting paid. That's why I love my job, man. I got paid to go to these great schools, and then later on paid to find people.
Okay, so where was
kill people?
Yeah. So where was your what was the craziest like real world jump you had to do? Do you remember? Did you get to do one?
A tandem jump, but it wasn't like a combat jump. But
did you get to do any of the combat ones?
No, I didn't actually.
No,
to be honest, no, I'm not gonna lie about it. The only guys who were really jumping a lot in combat was Dam Neck. It was SEAL Team 6.
Okay.
I mean, they're. I'm gonna say this. It's gonna sound biased, but there is no one better in the sky than that command. Period. Because they just jump their asses off. They jump on air into the ocean at night. They jump into mountains. They jump. You know, they practice it all the time, and they fly in formation. You know, before they open, they do halos. They jump dogs. They jump bundles. I mean, I went through the bundle course, and that's like the pentuplet up
the pinnacle.
Pentultimate. Ultimate, yes.
There it is.
You know, that's like
keywords. What up?
Yeah, that's one of those courses where, you know, you jump in this big round cylinder of 500, 600, 700 pounds of gear and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
How do you get on that thing? Is that something you ever tried to do, or you were just?
Well, so they learned it, like, rather than do the traditional combat equipment jump, hey-ho or halo.
Yeah.
If you need special equipment to go down, like a mortar or a series of mortars or a bunch of, you know, comms gear or all that kind of stuff, how are you going to divvy that out? So if you take a tandem rig, you know, the big square parachute, so normally you jump with another person, and now they you know, for years they experimented with like Rangers did it, teams did it. I know Delta does it too, but you jump motorcycles, jump cruise boxes, they jump all, and they figured out, you know, you could put a bunch of gear in a big cylinder, like those big concrete cylinders, and then one or two guys could jump all the gear out, and the other guys could be, you know, ready to fight as soon as they hit the ground, right?
Oh shit! So
then, you know, you rally around and you grab all the you know, the equipment, the team equipment, squad equipment, and do your mission, right? But you're a tandem master at that point, so you're jumping people too. Like sometimes you have to jump. Ideally, you jump a person who's not a jumper, obviously, or you jump your dog in or whatever. Like, and I know a lot of guys who, you know, they did combat jumps in Afghanistan and Iraq. I think the first one was Blue Squadron, maybe, or Red Squadron. I'm not sure who did that from Dam Neck. And of course the guys who did Captain Phillips. You know, the 4 guys came from another place in the region. They jumped in out of a contract there and then met up with the ship. They jumped in, you know, just like, we'll just parachute in to the water. and they picked them up and they're like, okay, this is how it's going to go. We're going to call in the Silver Bullet. And they launched Silver Bullet from the US, and the guys came out and jumped boats and people in the middle of the night and linked up with everybody and did that. I mean, it's one of the most amazing things to see that package leave a bunch of C-17s, and all these boats and dudes come flying out and then they go take down a cruise liner or something like that. But anyway, yeah. So it was.
We had more of that to watch. You know, like
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like
Navy SEALs is a good movie.
It needs to be pay-per-view. No, I'm just kidding. Fucking pay-per-view ops. No.
Right. So we're not, I don't want to like crush your viewers, man. I know that last time we talked a long time, but what do you want? What can I do to like I could talk about these kind of stories and
as you should. I mean, keep going. Shit. Like, so anyway, you bring up combat jumps, right? So one of the guys, he was one of the guys in my unit, drill sergeant, and he was in ROTC, but he had his little mustard stain. So I don't know what they call him for you guys. Is that the same term? Like mustard stain is the combat jump? Cause it's got the little yellow kind of.
We don't have a little.
I don't know what
they have a toy or tool, but yeah.
Well, you guys got like, did you get airborne wings when you went to airborne school?
Yeah, we got the Army Airborne wings, but then when you do 5 more jumps, the Navy Marine Corps wings are the longer ones. They look like flight wings, but they have a parachute in the middle. That's after 10 jumps.
So okay. So for
5 more jumps, yeah.
Okay, so for the Army, like if you have the actual combat jump, you'll have that star on the chute, right? So not above it, the one on it, right? So I had one guy there, one of my old, he was an old station commander in my unit. He was there. He had one because he was in the 173rd Airborne out of Italy. And then
I got a 173rd story for you.
Oh, okay. There we go. And then one of the guys, when I was drill sergeant at Benning, he had one, and him and my senior, he wasn't my senior drill sergeant. He was my senior, because we fell under the 197th Infantry Brigade at Benning. So we fell under all the training in our E7. He was this dude, I think his name was Sergeant Mac, this crusty E7 tanker. And every time he saw this dude, he would just fucking sit there and they would just start talking shit to each other. Because he's like, man, you just because you jumped into Iraq doesn't mean you did anything. Y'all jumped into the fucking airport. We were down there on top of our Bradleys having the whole area secured. You jumped into a secure zone and you're walking around a goddamn combat fucking stain. Like they would just go at each other nonstop. And he would always try to be like, man, we first combat jump into Iraq. And he's like, yeah. And I was on the Bradley sitting there with the whole airfield secure. You didn't do anything. So that was always fun to hear those two talk. And then two of the guys, one of them at drill sergeant school, one of the Rangers, he had one, but he got it from jumping in Afghanistan. And supposedly, I don't know how true this is. I don't pretend to know the truth. I just know what I heard, that at the time, one of the regiments or one of the battalions in Ranger world would do these rotations into Afghanistan just to jump, just so they could get
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Hey, rehearse on the X, man. If you can rehearse on the X.
I don't know how true that is, dude. I'm just relaying information.
I think I don't have any problem with guys getting that kind of a deal, man. It's like, even if it's like an admin thing.
Yeah.
Because it's completely different to jump into a place you don't know and you're relying on your guys, your scouts or combat controllers or whoever, is.
Well, so you were in the harness shit at Benning. Do you remember like seeing the guys from the glider infantry? Did you ever read about them?
Yeah. I thought, those
like that stuff made like when I went back and read that one night, I was like, they really got people to do that shit? Like, we went to the toughest motherfuckers ever. Like, we're gonna put you on a glider and we're gonna just drag you and we're gonna just go drop you in, and wherever you land, you land. If you're still alive, get out and start wrecking shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that.
It just, we went to Normandy, and my wife and I, we weren't married then, but we did that tour, and I remember seeing like, the Rangers that jumped in, in the evening before, and gliders that came in and all that stuff.
Yeah, like reading about Market Garden, I'm just like,
Mark, it's crazy. So the 173rd. So I had mentioned last time, I think, that I was with this like joint little interagency team that went into Iraq before, and kind of operational preparation of the battle space, or whatever you want to call it, and that amongst other things. One of them were the guys who found the LZ and scouted the drop zone, or the drop zone, not the LZ, the DZ for the 173rd that jumped in. Oh, okay. So it was actually my partner who was up in Erbil. He did the DZ survey for that, and him and his combat controls. I don't remember, since I didn't work in Erbil. I worked down in Sulaymaniyah. I I don't recall there being, maybe there was an armor unit or whatever that was already on the ground securing.
First Armor Division, very grumpy. I don't know.
But
I don't know
at the end of the day, it's like they were the first guys since what? Vietnam?
Oh, no, I'm not sorry. I am sorry. No, he had a first AD patch, but he was part of 3rd Infantry Division at the time. And he was in his Bradley, according to him, because I know 3rd ID went in with a bunch of fucking Bradleys and shit. And
yeah, but 3rd ID was in the South. They never made it up to where we were. So I don't know.
I mean, Baghdad Airport. That's all I know.
Okay, so he's talking about something different then. If they jumped into Baghdad Airport, this is not the guys I'm talking about. If you Wikipedia who jumped into northern Iraq, it says the 173rd Airborne Brigade.
Well, because did you ever
right out of Aviano, right?
Yeah. Well, that video is on YouTube. Have you ever seen?
Yeah, I think it's right here actually.
There it is. That's the one. Yep. So my buddy is on the
6 April 2003. Guess who was in Iraq?
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay, so my buddy's name, if that's the one that shows the chalk, he's on that.
It does. Yeah.
It does. But what I thought was cool is if you look at the first 2 people to jump, it was the battalion commander and the.
Of course.
The sergeant major. I thought it was fun. I still think that's actually
Follow
pretty
me,
cool.
Right?
Yeah. I still think that's actually pretty cool because there's always there's enough stories of shitty leadership. You know what I mean? Like, but it goes back to what you're saying though. No matter what, like you're still jumping into something that's unknown. You have no idea what the fuck you're getting into, and at least number 1 and number 2 are out the door first. You know what I mean? So that's right. Actually, I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's cool. I 100% agree with you. Hey, those guys did it. We got to follow them.
Yeah.
But
which is why I love We Were Soldiers, that movie.
Yes. Yeah,
but the book's incredible. Like the movie makes it seem like it was a 4-day affair and they got up and got on planes and went home. No, that was the first couple of weeks. They had a whole 8 more months in country and they had a hell of a lot more shit they went through. But that book's incredible. But no, I was showing Maddie the clips of the sergeant major when he's like, "Morning, sergeant major." He's like, "How would you know what kind of goddamn morning it is?" The outtakes of that movie are hilarious. I think they were filming that at Benning. I think when I was in basic training, they were filming that movie. I think at Benning. It was the first time a movie has been filmed at Benning. I think.
Because of the background.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they show now. When you were at Airborne School, did you get to do the 250-foot tower where they just dropped it? See, actually, we didn't get to do it because it was always too windy and shit.
We did that, and actually, we also stole the flag off the 250-foot tower. You probably heard about that before, right?
No, I didn't.
In fact, the boss said, "Don't." The Army lieutenant colonel, or whoever it was, don't climb the 250-foot tower. And we're like, "What are you talking about?" And we're like, "Well, we got to climb it, whatever it is," because we didn't know about it until we got here. He said, "Don't do it."
Climb that thing?
And I think
we never got to do it
down or whatever.
They dropped a dummy from the top of it and showed us, but
we did all. We got the full. We got full benefit, man. We got all 1 week of training crammed into 3, man, just like you guys did.
So you know what's cool though is when I was in Jordan in it was 2015 as well. So at JTC. Joint Training Compound. So it's us and the Jordanians next to that base. They have,
when was that? What year?
2015.
Okay.
So they have looks like a little basic training site for the Jordanians, and but there's also a little airborne school there, and they had the little 250-foot towers. It's the only other place I've ever seen 250-foot towers. And I still didn't want to get on them. Like there's something to me about like, okay, if you go to jump out, you're like it's controlled chaos, right? It's like the light's green, everyone's gone and out in like a few seconds. Right. They drag you up on top of that little tower and you're just dangling there until they decide to release you. Like that's got to be a pretty oh shit moment. Like what the fuck am I doing here? And I can't get down until I land. Like I'm just gonna dangle here until they release me.
I don't think I ever thought about it.
No, well, you're just built like look, put it this way, you're already built differently to do the shit you did. Like most people aren't constructed that way. So
I mean, I guess I trusted the system. You know, we didn't think about it. It's kind of like, you know,
how you feel about that now?
Yeah, I mean, well, I just saw something today where this guy talked about, you know what I'm talking about. Drew something or other. He just deleted his account. It's like he's not going to make colonel. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Nope.
Not even good initiative. Bad judgment. Yeah, so
you just know that there's a portion of those people though on the shitty side of mill Twitter that are just like, he's got a point.
No, I just, it's like I'm a history major, right? Undergrad history major.
You are.
you go back and you study, like when you really do history. What I love about history is it's not about what you feel.
Yeah, it happened.
It has nothing to do with that.
There it is.
It hasn't.
It's there.
You know,
and it may have been written by the winners, but that's the way it should
that's
be.
right. But even if it's written by the winners, eventually, you know, you hear of both sides because that's what historians do, right? We look for that. And Truman had a point when he said, I think mandatory military service or mandatory military training after World War II, he wanted to make that mandatory, right? Where you, where every person after 18 years old did 6 months of military training, just basic stuff, like you went to boot camp or whatever, learned the skills, right? And then you were in the inactive reserves to do whatever you want. No one's going to call you up, but you were in the inactive reserves for 6 years. But what his point was, he wanted to create this pool of people that understood not only the skill sets, but the whole point of being a military, right?
Yeah.
It's like, this is for the nation. This is why we need to have this pool of people who understand what's important.
Right.
And why it's bigger than us. And we all need to be able to be at a moment's notice in a crisis and emergency, boom, you know, hey, we need you, come. And they're already trained in the basic stuff, and you can, you know, get them ready. But it does so much other things, you know, it does so much other things for you as a person, right? It teaches you so much more about working for a higher cause and discipline and camaraderie and just, you go down the list of stuff. But today it's like, you know.
So one of my favorite phone calls, I remember, called a kid, got his mom on the phone, her mom. And I remember her saying, oh, excuse me. Oh no, we've done enough in service of this country. We've served over 60 years and my daughter is not going to do that. And I remember saying, like, let me back up, ma'am. Like, so you served and who else? Like, oh, not me. My dad or my brother and my husband, they've all served and we've done enough for this country. And I'm like, I didn't know there was a limit on the service requirement. Your daughter's never thought of carrying on that legacy type of thing, right? And it was just like some more spinning of the wheels, and then she hung up, of course. And I was just like, it's weird how it's gotten to that point. Now, I have a daughter, and I would never, like, if she wants to serve, great, go do it. It's not something I'm pushing on her, but I would never, if a recruiter finally called me, I wouldn't be like, oh no, I've already served. Don't. It's just a mindset that I think we have, especially since World War II. Everything's kind of, and maybe a lot of it could be our own doing. Like we've done enough things to cause, maybe turn some people off from service. I don't dispute that, but I also don't think the average American is wanting to do service in terms of that. I think they think someone else is going to do it.
Yeah. And that's not a reflection on society as much as it's a reflection on people that are pushing the narrative, in my opinion, because I think every person given the opportunity to choose, whether it's Peace Corps or whatever, whatever is available, some kind of like something bigger than you service that you can do, is inclined to want to do that, right? Mm-hmm. It's just comical that we're in this, Greek tragedy play or whatever you want to call it, that where the people now who are in power or whatever, pushing the narrative, will praise you, thank you for your service,
right?
And I'm like, do you know what that means when you thank me for my service? It's not thank me for joining the Navy. It's thanking me for 24 years plus my time afterwards, 5 more years doing whatever stuff, 25, 27, 8, 9, whatever. Putting bigger issues than me in front of myself, right? Like, in other words, I enjoyed it. I was lucky. I mean, I took it for granted that, being a SEAL is like one, like, oh, okay, you're a Navy SEAL. It's like, whatever, like I used to tell people, I'm not a Navy SEAL. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
That's my job. Right. But then you walk away from it and you realize it's like, there's like 2,500 Navy SEALs at any time, it's been 10,000 period, 10,500, whatever period that have, served, whatever. And you kind of like stack that against like Major League Baseball players or NFL or whatever.
750 baseball players every year, give or take.
Yeah, or whatever. You know, it's like you're kind of like
19,000-ish.
Why did I do that?
Crazy.
So I don't know. You know,
no, that's true though. That is it's a very good correlation because there's only, like I said, you have to be wired a certain way to do that anyway.
Well, you know, I don't know if you have to be pre-wired. I think you just have to be either really dumb, like I was, not knowing what was coming, or just, you know, just like learn to listen to the solution. The solution's there. They give it to you. They tell you, okay, here's what you got to do, right? And you got to like learn to trust or dig down deep or whatever. And it's not unique just to being in the SEAL teams. It's every element. Everybody goes through it. You know, I mean, you know, the guys who were in Restrepo. Yeah. I mean, that's one of my favorite.
So I was that interpreter he was one of our interpreters when I was there in 13. I mean, ripped his ACL up and everything. That was a great dude, man.
I watched that movie and I'm like, dude, these guys went through 6 months of more freaking hell or the guys in Helmand or the Marines or whatever in Ramadi or whatnot. And you're like, you come back and then people are like, yeah, thanks for your service. And you're like, you know, okay, what does that mean? You know, it's like,
I think at this point to us, I think I get where you're coming from. To them,
I'm not
they just mean it as they feel like they're supposed to say it. There's a lot of people that do mean it genuinely, but most people
I think everyone's
trying to be polite. So it's like, you know,
I just feel like, this isn't the time to like opine on what I think, but
actually it is.
If people really put something, it doesn't have to be the military service.
Yeah.
Okay. If they thought about other people and put other people in, you know, thought about their situation and said, what can I do to help them? Whatever it is, you know. And it doesn't have to be political. It has to be, it doesn't have to be self-serving, but.
No, but it has to now. It has to
be
political. Because what you're describing. So I remember when President Obama got elected for his first term, that was one of the initiatives they wanted to do was some sort of civil service, right?
Right.
And that got picked apart as like, oh, he's trying to have his own civil corps or something. When at the end of it, the core of the point of the message was kind of what you're saying is like people in this country, no matter what, like, and that's my biggest thing is like, not everyone is meant to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
We've created the college industry where people they feel compelled and that they're supposed to do it when most of them don't belong there anyway. Like you don't need a college degree to be successful in this country. You just need a work ethic and you can still be successful, right? Or do what you're saying, whether it's military service and learning the basics or whether it's something civil where you're just, whether it's volunteer maybe or whatever, or it's doing something to help your local community or somewhere else before you move on to what you're going to do into your career, because everyone's in this big rush to get to school and then do what?
Right.
And that's what's my biggest thing is when I've talked to these kids in college and it's like, okay, you're going to graduate in a few years. Do you want to have military experience as your, you know, something to separate you from your peers, right? You can prove that you know how to be somewhere on time. You're responsible for people and property, right? You prove you're drug free, you're reliable. Or do you want to show up to that interview and it was an Uber driver. And most of these kids are more than I guess I'll just be the fucking Uber driver. You know what I mean? Like,
you know, what's so funny is like, this is going to sound like weird, but so I go to the ABC store where we got to buy our booze because Virginia
used to do that in Florida. They're not out here in the West, but I know what you're talking about. ABC is a liquor store for those.
It's a liquor store owned by the state.
Yeah.
And guess what? The whole time COVID happened, they were essential people.
Of course, they are. Of
course. And
vices are always essential.
Why wouldn't they be, right?
Yep.
So I was talking to the guy.
So you did have COVID and coronavirus where you're from.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
And so I went to buy my rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole.
Again, this episode of There Will Be Bourbon is not endorsed or sponsored by Rabbit Hole.
Not yet.
But I'm endorsing Rabbit Hole Derringer as my favorite sherry cask.
Okay, it may also be What else is sherry cask? Because Angel's Envy is port cask.
Yeah. This is unique, and I'm telling you, you need to get a bottle. Anyway.
I almost got
back to my. I was talking to the guy who works in the store, you know, and I'm like, hey, he's like, I saw these signs everywhere. We're out here where they're looking, they're having like work fairs, trying to get people to like, take jobs, and there's all these people that are being paid to not work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why would you do that? I mean, it's just amazing, right? Like, why would you not want to? Well, why do I want to go do that when I'm getting essentially $12 an hour to stay home? And I'm like,
fuck yeah, Uncle
well,
Sugar.
maybe
Sugar is the
because
best.
you care about like, basic
the wrong things.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just so funny. I mean, for me, the Navy was a lifeline. It was someone through a,
no, it's the same thing for me.
It was Army, like, here's that round thing they throw out in the water when you're drowning, and you grab onto it, and it worked, and I got my ass kicked for the first 4 years, where I realized you can't speak your mind to your platoon commander, right? You can't tell him, because you're older and you know more, you think you know more, he's fucked up. You got to do what he says, right? That's how it works. And but you learn that stuff, and you realize, wow, okay, there's things bigger than you. And it's good. Yeah. It's like there's plenty of opportunity out there for people. And when I went back to school after I retired, and I was an old man and everything, and I wanted to use my GI Bill, and I got a bachelor's degree and I got a master's degree, it was more like I needed to complete the circle, right? And in the process, I realized that, in spite of the narrative that pick your source, in spite of the narrative, the kids today, the people today that are searching, they're all searching for the same things we did. It doesn't matter of the generation, right? So you can have the sidebar comments or conversations with people, and they get it. There's really not a whole lot of difference between us, but at the end of the day, you want to feel like you're making good choices and you're learning, and you're when you give someone the opportunity to, you can do something that's bigger than you.
Yeah.
And then you benefit, you see the results of that. You realize it's a good thing, and it just changes the way you approach the world from that point out. And I just I encourage people to kind of like consider doing something outside of their wants. And
that was, because that was the same way for me. Like I had no interest, because I can totally relate to where they're coming from, almost to that mom in a way, when she said, because my grandfather was in Korea, his brother was in World War II. I think his uncle was as well. My dad lied about his health to try to get into Vietnam and got found out and couldn't go. And then me and my brother were just, not for me. I was going to college to play baseball. All I was going to do was be a pro baseball player, and that's it. I used to hang up on recruiters in high school. I very remember I was a jerk. I hung up on them, or I would be like, "Oh yeah, Eric, hold on," and I'd put the phone down and just continue doing whatever dumb thing I was like. I was a dick, right?
What position would you play?
I went to college to pitch. In high school, when I wasn't pitching, I played third base and first base.
Did you pitch in college? Where did you go?
Oh, it's awful. That's why I'm in the Army now. It's terrible. I got to college and realized I wasn't very good. Like, everybody's good. Like, when you're in high school and you get when you're really good in high school, eventually it's the same thing with every level, right? All these dudes in the majors, Right. Yeah, right. That's a very, very, very small sample. But you're watching those guys in AA, right? Now imagine how good they are, and they may suck in AA, but they're still way better than everybody who was in college like myself, right? And then so I just got to college and realized I wasn't very good, and I needed something to do. I wasn't going to school. I took school for granted. And then 9/11 happened, and that just kind of woke me up to like, all right, this isn't for you. Here's what's for you. Maybe you should go explore it. And I did. And the Army's been the best thing that ever happened to me in terms of my professional life. And then I have gone back to school. I've gotten my bachelor's degree when I tried, and I've gotten the master's. I've done all this. I've gotten the education, right? I just was never good enough to do what I ultimately wanted to do, which was to play baseball and get paid for it. Oh, well, that's life. Okay. But when I was in Iraq, in 2003, 2004, and I got to, and I don't even think it was the service part in the Army. It was more seeing the people in Iraq.
Right.
I remember very specifically going outside one of the gates at the Baghdad airport, and we were buying one of those little like bread pockets that they used to stuff with the fucking meat, right? And I remember just like talking to the vendor who was talking to us through his interpreter. And I just remember looking at the guy, and for some reason, I don't know why, for some reason, I saw my dad. Because I saw a father who was just trying to make money to take care of his family, especially in a post-Saddam world. That's nothing people in America could even fathom, right? And I just remember, like, man, people, to me at that time, people everywhere I go in every country I've ever been to, people are people. You may not agree with them or their lifestyle or their religion, all that stuff, but at the end of the day, at the very core, people are trying to do the very best that they can for themselves and their family. And that's what I've always identified with and tried to take with me once I came back and move on, is just, like you said, do something for others, do something that's bigger than yourself, and just do something for your country, man. Like, it matters.
It does matter. And, you know, if you can, you know, if I were to look back on a timeline, like whether it was, I didn't see it the first time I was in Iraq because, you know, I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah.
At the time I was on a ship pretty much the whole time. But after that, you know, it was Bosnia 3 or 4 times. Right. And then it was, you know, the J sets, you're getting familiar with the Mediterranean and North Africa and the Balkans and, you know, all the countries in Europe. We weren't in a war then, but then when we went to war after 9/11, whether it was Somalia or Afghanistan or Iraq or, you know, some of these other places, when you spend the time, when you're there, you do make relationships with people, and you realize exactly what you said. You know, they're exactly the same as us. All I care about is what my kids, making a better life, security, you know, whatever. And you realize we're all in the same kind of boat. And unless you feel that and experience it, you don't realize it. And we're not all that much. We share more commonalities than we do differences.
Yeah, our similarities are much greater than our differences.
They really are. And that's why now I'm at the Lobo Institute in Whitefish, Montana, as a junior fellow-ish. It's not a paid thing, but it's more like I'm working with guys that I used to work with in CIA and special operations that we all understand the benefits of hard power, you know, and what that does for you. But at the end of the day, hard and soft have to kind of find, you know, we understand the value of all things. And now it's like, you know, conflict resolution is the issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's distill this down to what the issue is. Right. And, you know, sometimes you can figure it out. It's obvious, but, you know, if you've got an immovable force like, you know, extremist Islam or a political agenda for somebody else, it's difficult to find a solution. But, you know, the takeaway is, for me anyways, is like, yeah, I mean, I had fun doing all the things my country asked me to do. Right.
Yeah.
But.
Well, so let me ask you that, because hard and soft power is a great thing. This is literally just something I talked about with someone the other day we put in. And she's from Mexico, first generation. She spent time, she's finishing her master's in December. So it's going to be a really bright girl. Great that she's joining, you know, the military. But she spent a semester abroad in France and just brought back, and we were just talking experiences and all. And I got into hard and soft power and what that is, because she wasn't a political science or any type of those degrees. So she doesn't know the terms, but she gets the concept once you explain it, right? What hard and soft power is. So you bring up soft power, because hard power, I don't think we have an issue.
Nope.
Right?
Nope. Yep.
Soft power, where do you feel we are with that? Has our influence and our ability to use soft power effectively dissipated, or is it something that needs to be kind of maybe refocused on? Or because I don't know, I'm not trying, I would never denigrate the individuals who do those jobs and those who are responsible for that, because I don't know what they're going through. I have no idea. I have no insight to that. I know you have some because of some of the experiences you have, so that's why I'm asking you. But do you feel like we've maybe not necessarily slacked off with our usage of soft power, but have we kind of forgotten how powerful it is?
It's I'm by no means whatever I say is an expert opinion, but soft power, in my opinion, has to do with if you're engaging a population, another country's population, it's does it resonate?
Right.
Okay. Is it a solution to whatever it is their problem is? Okay. And, having worked the Somalia problem from a couple different angles myself, and sometimes you have to get in bed with people you don't want to sleep with, right? You don't want to have sex with, but you have to, right? Because you need to accomplish your objectives, right? And you realize these are the nodes of power or influence or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's much more important, that people realize that it's one of those things that it's by administration, they might promote it in a different way, but when they're confronted with the reality of it after they take office, they realize, oh, so that's how it is.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than a campaign slogan.
Exactly. It's a lot more complicated than you realize, right? It's like, we're doing this because it's a long game, blah, blah, blah. It's not only them, but it's like, Russia and it's China and it's these other people. But at the end of the day, you want to also serve the people that need the most help immediately.
Right.
You want to be that person that if nothing else, makes it a Somali solution. All the horsepower is coming from something else. You want it because that's going to make the most difference. They're going to feel like, and you're also helping people, right? So, what was your question again?
It was, how are we still effectively using soft power?
Okay.
Or we kind of neglected it.
I think we're not. When you talk to the professionals in any careerist professional, whether it's State Department or USAID or same thing, but Special Operations Command, CIA, they all understand. It doesn't. Nothing changes. The solutions are obvious. You have to, like I said, I might have said in the last time we talked, it comes down to the bake off, whose cookies are better, right? Oh, I like these cookies. I don't know who they made them, but I like them better. And it's like, so your cookies have to be better. Your solution has to be better. It has to be. And if like in Afghanistan, we learned the hard way, if you're not bringing security or development or whatnot to whatever is relevant to that person, they're going to choose whatever, like we would. Absolutely. Yeah. Like when a year ago, when my kids found out their school system was going to close down, I'm looking for whatever solution I could find.
Yeah.
So my kids didn't have to stay, and look at a screen. And I didn't care if I had to say, oh yeah, I love Christ, or I love Catholic Church, or how much does it cost to go to this private school? My kids were not going to stay at home. They were going to go to school.
Yeah.
Right. So however I had to make it work, I was going to make it work. That's that dynamic. It doesn't change whether you have good money or not. You're looking for the same solution. And if soft power is an overlooked or a underutilized,
I think it's underutilized
component. It wasn't in the 50s, 60s, and 70s because we realized that we had to if you're a historian,
you think that was easier then, though, because there was no media and internet like we have today?
I think there's something to be said about that, because
people had to wake up the next day and read the newspaper
when you
know what was going on.
Let's as an example, let's take the vice president. She's been hammered for not going to the border since being appointed as a border czar. Now, I'm not a fan, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I'm willing to say, let's say we didn't have social media.
Would anyone know?
It was 6 months later. Would it make any difference? If they learned the lesson on the side, like, oh shit, we should probably have gone down there and looked at this problem ourselves.
Yeah.
And seen it for ourselves and then made our own assumption and then had somebody confirm or deny our perception, right?
Right.
But because of the way things are today, that person doesn't get the opportunity for that kind of grace. At the same point, at the same time, the fact that we all recognize that you can do things immediately, and if you're not prepared to do it, you also kind of incriminate yourself. By not doing that, it's like that's the logical thing. If you're a manager of a construction company and suddenly something goes sideways, you're going to go down there and look at it yourself, right? The building collapsed or the foundation, whatever it is, right? And when someone cackles about it, it turns into a meme. It turns into this.
Yeah.
This
thing that's our culture. We're in a troll culture right now.
We're in a troll culture right now. So, what's going to happen, in my opinion, is that it's going to take this Pearl Harbor event. I'm not talking about a 9/11 thing.
I agree. Unfortunately, I agree.
It's going to take something where people.
Well, you thought coronavirus would have been it, right? But it's still all it turned into was it turned into the biggest political wedge we've probably ever had, and it still continues.
Right, and now all of a sudden, every person that
there was no unity. The unity lasted for like 2 weeks.
I don't think it ever was in unity. I mean, it was
I try to look at it from California, and I remember like, man, Governor Newsom's doing a great job these first few weeks, and now it's like this fucking hypocritical whatever everyone throws because he went and he did all this stuff. So it's like people have done so much to kind of, like you said, incriminate themselves, I guess, in a way. But if it wasn't for social media, you wouldn't even know about it. Like no one would have known any of the stuff that all these governors are getting called out for if it wasn't for social media.
But as a baseline, when you do something for yourself, when you promote for your children or yourself to like go and do service where you're going to put somebody else or some other cause in front of your own wants, right? Something that's bigger than you.
Right.
You are taught those lessons. You see it firsthand. It's like, whoa, I just parachuted into, the Sahel or West Africa,
Antigua,
or East Africa, or wherever. And I'm seeing, Antigua is different because that's not fair. Those people paid to go there, the casinos. But you realize that, wow, this is something I never knew, because you're not going to see that, right? And then you realize you want to help that human being in front of you, whether it's your interpreter in Afghanistan or Iraq, or someone who's whatever. And that's what's lacking. I think that's it. People, if you don't encourage those values, now it's like the latest thing is like, well, if you fly a flag from your car, your truck, you're a white supremacist. I'm like, what?
But that's the type of shit that
I need to show you the pictures of me from Iraq when we took Kirkuk, and I had my Hilux, right? And I got this huge American flag flying from the back, right? I mean, I took the 3rd Iraqi Republican Guard, division flag, which is like 20 feet by 10 feet or something like that. And these guys ran away, and like literally like we're changing their clothes in the street. Like there's this trail of like, uniforms in the street where they're running away from us. And I'm like, it's like, what?
See, but that's my thing. Like, and that the only reason that's even those are the things like, so we call the internet, the internet, or what is it? The information superhighway, right? There's times and places when you're on the information superhighway like that, and you just need to keep driving.
That's right.
Don't stop and look. Don't even engage.
I'm not going through. It's not New Jersey where I got to stop at that. What do they call those things where you pull off in the middle and they sell you hot dogs and all that stuff?
Oh, the rest stop.
Yeah, the rest stops. Like where the state.
Well, no, I mean, but that's the thing with the internet and social media, man. It's like, and it is a good thing and it's a bad thing, but at the same time, just because everybody has a voice doesn't mean you have to listen. I've said this to you guys and some of the other guys, like, you know what? The more attention you pay to these people, the more emboldened they get, and they're for the lack of a better term, they're just dorks. Like if someone can really sit there with a straight face and be like, if you fly an American flag on your truck, you're racist. Like there's no point in even entertaining or engaging that, because it's literally the dumbest thing on face value I've ever heard in my life.
Face value. I love it.
Yeah, it's just dumb. It's just stupid. It has no meaning. And all it seeks is they're literally trolling anyone who tries to engage with them. That's all it is. And plenty of people continue to fall for it. Plenty of people in our circle sit there and get all offended and try and get like, you're not on top of that, you're not going to change their mind.
You're not.
There's not. There's no one's mind has ever been changed through an argument on social media. Never once. I don't have empirical evidence to back this up, but I'm going to go out and claim it anyway. Throw it out there. He's whispering. I have no idea what he's saying, but he's not changing my mind.
Bill, no, you didn't put enough in there.
No. It's a decent amount for right now. This is 125 proof, my friend.
Who cares?
Look, I don't even know what that is.
How often do you get to talk to me?
Well, I just talked to you last week.
Okay.
And probably,
never talk
every day on the internet. I don't know.
So, to that point, like I love this guy. What is it? Tom McDonald?
Tom McDonald? Who's that?
The rapper? Is it?
No idea. Never heard of her.
Yeah. No, not Tom. Her. Yeah. Are you making
no idea. Who is this? Are you about to drop some bar? Are you about to rap?
I'm not going to rap, but my kids, I take them they're going to summer camp and
okay.
They want to always play music, right? So,
so they started playing this Tom McDonald guy.
Make sure. Yeah, but it's like he has a good social message, right? About being fake woke or whatnot.
Oh, okay. I think I have heard of this individual now that you mentioned.
Yeah. And if you dissect the lyrics, it's one of the things he says is, if you're embarrassed to be an American, it's in the line of, you're flying a flag from the back of your truck. Right?
Yeah.
Someone's going to make a comment about you flying a flag or whatever. They're going to call you a Confederate in place of the Confederate flag, which, trust me, here in Virginia, I see it.
Right.
I see guys, who've flown the Confederate battle flag.
I mean, if you want to fly the flag at number 2, I don't get it.
Go and whatever, it's like, okay, and to be honest with you, I mean, even being a West Coast guy, I was enamored by the whole idea of the Confederacy, the whole independence thing. And then, you learn through history, like the actual details, and it kind of makes you like update. That's the current, buzzword. Update your thinking about certain things, and you realize, okay, it's about state rights, blah, blah. It's complicated. It's not racism. It's not all about slavery. It truly was a complicated issue back then. But he says this thing is this line: if you're embarrassed to be an American, well, I'm embarrassed for you, right? In other words, if you want to kneel because you're embarrassed, then I'm embarrassed, for you. I'm like, he's making this great point. Like, you should never be embarrassed. It's because we're all trying to like make our country better.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. Well, it comes down to that what's that meme where it's like, some people they can't believe you think something's funny. And it's like, I can't believe you're so mad at the fact that I enjoy my life and I'm happy and I can find humor in things. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but that also comes back to where and I think this is something I talked about on the very first show I ever did. It was with Ron Moeller.
Ron. Yeah, he's running for office, right?
It's about fucking time. We've twisted his arm enough. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
But social media, it's real, but it ain't real.
That's why I say
Twitter's not a reflection of my neighborhood. It's not a reflection of my city. It's not a reflection of the city I work in. Like if Twitter was like that, or if the real world was like Twitter, man, we would have burned ourselves down a long time ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
my favorite saying is social media isn't.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not social.
Now, unfortunately, we're still like there's too many people who are being like forced to, live their real lives through their apologies and things based on shit they've said. Some of it, okay, we're not going to get into what people are saying, but the fact that people will dig up stuff from a celebrity or whatever, or whoever it is, whether, things they said when they were 14, 13 years old and like, oh my God, canceled.
Right.
You're canceled, Drew.
I mean, I was so fortunate that as I
cancel culture's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. It really is.
As I progressed through the world I was living in, which, you know, I wish I could talk more about it, but it was pretty cool. You know, we were at the leading edge of a lot of things, and it was like, hey, stay off the internet, don't have any signature, don't do this and that. And it wasn't until I went back to school where I took a digital, you know, class of digital history where they're like, hey, make a Twitter account and do this and that. You know, I was like, play around with it and see what you feel. And then I learned about the cesspool of Twitter, and everything else. But then you kind of like, you realize, fortunately, like, I don't have a digital, you know, other than what I've created myself, I don't have a digital signature. But
yeah,
everybody else, the other generations, they grow up with it. They grow up in that environment. So they don't even realize that everything they watch, everything they do, everything they like or don't like, it's forever. That becomes who they are. And you know, I feel like I'm, you know, one of the last people that's going to hand off the baton to say, okay, you know, hey, here's an option. Hopefully you'll consider it. You know, ask the hard questions. You know, and that's what's great about Tom McDonald. He's this Canadian rapper guy who's asking. Yeah, well, he's asking the hard. I know. I work, and the only reason I'm promoting him is he's not. I worked with the Canadians in Kandahar in 2009, 2010, and those are some of the best guys I ever went out. I went out on patrols with them. You know, we got in ticks. You know, and they're
groups in contact. For those.
Yeah. And they're just great guys, right? They're like
people are great. I just like
they're like Americans that speaks different than us.
Yeah, different twang with worse weather.
And so anyway. Ask me. What do you want to ask me? What kind of like sealed book story stuff do you want to know?
It's too late. We're done.
You're like, oh, okay.
We're done. You had your chance to write your book, and so are you going to write a book? You going to do that? Nope.
If I write a book, it'll be a kid's book.
Kid's book?
It's going to be called Dave's Body.
Dave's Body.
Dave's Body.
Why?
And it's because it's going to be like, Dave is this guy, and he's like the world, right? And so you have a body. If you have people that work up in like above the neck, like in the eyes and the brain, they have security clearances but the guys that, you know, work down in the feet, whatever, they're like everyday average people, right? Or anywhere else in the body, they do their job.
I don't know if this is a children's book.
It'll be a children's book. It'll teach them about, you know, the importance of a system that works together, because it's got to keep this person alive, right?
So like communism.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
It'll be more like no one's more important because you work in the eyes of the brain than the guys who, you know.
That is communism.
Launch.
That is exactly what that is. You just described. No one's important. You're all the same. Everyone means the exact same. You just described communism. Your book is the new Karl Marx.
No,
I'm just kidding. Drew Marx. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. No, you should. You should write.
Don't end on that. But
no, we won't. So you should write that. I mean, what's stopping you? What do you do now that your time's up? You got all your education. You're a fellow in Montana, which sounds really cool. I'd love to do some shit like that. That'd be awesome.
Check them out. Loboinstitute.org. Right now, my buddies, friends of mine, the Eric Ollerbach and Mick Mulvaney are in Rwanda working with their experts on child soldiering, recovering child soldiers. People, you know, they're working on rehabilitating child soldiers.
That's got to be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. So that's and they work for the Middle East Institute, the organization, the org does, and it's to support solutions down there. But they're in Rwanda right now, and you know, it's a good thing. It's like, you know, hey, I know what works kinetically, but I also know what, if you don't use kinetics right, you can create a whole lot of bad things.
Soft
And it
power.
might look good on
Soft power.
on like Kill TV or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, every time someone suppresses somebody else, you're creating an insurgent. And if our own government suppresses us through the Second Amendment or whatever, trust me, brother, you're creating an insurgent. And you're not only creating an insurgent, I learned the hard way in Iraq when we ignored, when we had the de-Baathification process. Like, hey, we're gonna like ignore the Ba'athist party,
like
Saddam's party.
Like when they took the entire Iraqi army and said, hey, we don't need you anymore.
Hey, fuck you guys. We don't need you. And
oh my God, to this day, I still share that story. And it makes sense to no one I tell it to.
Right. It makes sense to anybody who's been there. And you're like, oh, so we're going to take the ruling class, the teachers, the professors, the army, the leaders, all those people who were all in this minority party, the Ba'athist party, and say, we don't need you. They're going to be like, what?
Yep.
Okay.
Can't imagine how Al-Qaeda in Iraq formed shortly after.
Yeah, exactly.
Or no correlation, I'm sure.
Or here's another patch, a morale patch. You might for a while we would wear this because it was a meme from the
show. Patch, for those not watching on YouTube,
right,
spells out ISIS.
Before ISIS happened, we remember, you know, the show for whatever it was, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And you realize that, okay, we didn't learn a lesson. But anyway, you can't do that. You have to listen to other people. And
soft power, brother.
At the end of the day, it's all about you know, the fifth column and soft power.
Fifth column is
the media.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, no, you're right about that. All right, so that's Drew Mullins. That's part 2. That's round 2. That's glass number 2. Actually, it's probably 4 or 5, but that's it.
Right.
All right. This is it.
Right.
This will be up tomorrow. So if you're watching, please like, subscribe, share, write reviews, follow Drew on Twitter at Real Blue Falcon. You can follow, or at Real Blue Falcon, and you can follow me if you'd like. Eric. I'd like. TWBV. We do follow each other. Yes. Good man. But that's Drew Mullins. And you have anything for the kids? You want to put in?
Hey, just if you got questions, well, I believe in this country. I love my country, and
done a hell of a lot for it.
What the media is portrayed, we're more alike than we're just similar. So
that is absolutely correct. God bless America and no place else. Just kidding.
That's right.
God bless America and all the places.
America.
Right. So, but what was that? Head of State, that Chris Rock movie? I remember we saw it just before we went into Iraq for the invasion. It was God bless America and no place else. That was the campaign slogan. It was great. But bless the rest of the world too. All right, Drew, let's get the hell out of here. I'm gonna go pour some more stuff and play some baseball on this TV. Or watch some baseball. I can't even speak at this point. But anyway, good time. All right, brother. Airborne, death from above.
That's right.